Sup, guys? It's Toad back with you for Better Off Dead Thursday, June 5th. Yesterday on the show, made a few mistakes, and I'm not sure that the two plays were really mistakes that I gave out on the show, but unfortunately, it was an 0-2 day after going 6-0 over the previous 2 days. 0-2 yesterday. Cleveland Yankees, kind of ridiculous, man, that you get 3 runs in the top of the first inning, so it's like, all right, this game's definitely going to go over. And then only one more run is scored in the entire game after that for the remaining 8.5 innings or whatever. Doesn't make sense, I know. Luis Ortiz giving up nothing is just, there's no way you could predict that, to be honest. I walked 3 guys, was putting guys on base. Yankees couldn't get any of them home, and Cleveland was doing their part offensively, too. I think they had 12 hits in the game, and they still didn't score, or they scored one more run. They won 4-0, but very unexpected there. That game certainly could have had more runs than it did. And then Philadelphia, if I gave that out as a first 5-inning play, that would have been a winner, as Philadelphia was winning 1-0 almost the entire game. And then they gave up 1 run and then another run, I think, in the 9th inning, or maybe it was extras. I don't even know. And they lose 2-1. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right. We can talk about WNBA quickly. I'm an idiot because I thought these games were being played yesterday, but there were no WNBA games yesterday. So if you want to go back and look at my analysis from yesterday, it was all basically the same. I'm going to reiterate it right here, but try to do it more quickly, more full analysis on yesterday's show. But I did say, these are back-to-backs. But that's not going to be the case now for Washington and for Phoenix. I believe they each have 1 day off, whereas yesterday, I was thinking they were playing yesterday, so I thought they were on back-to-backs. Now, New York, the Liberty, yes, they're the best team in the league. Washington's one of the lesser teams in the league, one of the worst. Liberty laying 12.5 on the road. They're coming off beating this Washington team on the road, so this is a kind of quick road reversal revenge angle here, as the Liberty already just crushed them by 22 points on the road as 8.5 point favorites in that game. So the line is, I guess, kind of about where it should be. If you give each team about 2 for home court, it kind of makes sense. But it's still, Washington's probably going to be more motivated here because they got crushed on their own floor by the Liberty, and the Liberty might just not even care. They might just overlook this team they just destroyed on the road. And then after that, New York beat down the worst team in the league, Connecticut, by 48 points. So you're coming off a couple of wins like that. You might really just you might just overlook your next opponent, man. You got to be feeling really high on yourselves right here. So really don't love the spot for the Liberty there. I would lean to taking the points with Washington in the revenge spot. As I mentioned yesterday, Washington is coming off a game where they had the fever, even though fever without Caitlin Clark right now. Washington was battling the fever late in that game. It was a 1-point game, so Washington is coming off that tough game, but still, I think they're going to be focused here for that revenge spot. So I would lean to taking the points. I don't love these games that are complete mismatches, though, but I would lean to taking the points there. And the Fever, by the way, I mentioned one of their players was injured because I don't know their personnel very well at all. One of their players was injured, and I was like, I don't think she's that much of a key player, but I guess she is. It was, who the hell was it? I forget. One of their players, Sophie Cunningham, she comes off the bench, but she does play a lot of minutes, and she's good at defending, so that's the whole thing. Anyway, I would lean to taking the points there, and then Golden State against Phoenix. Phoenix, I just keep saying I don't think they're as good as their record looks. They're now 5-3 as they've lost 2 of their last 3, although both of them were to Minnesota. But they are returning home from a road trip, albeit a quick road trip. But coming off a big game like that, I don't know, even though they did lose pretty badly by 23 points, I don't know if they're going to be fully focused on this Golden State team. It's really not that good. And again, Phoenix is not as good as they look. So I think this game might be a little bit closer than the records might indicate. Golden State, of course, is not good either. They just lost by a similar margin to Minnesota, although they did it at home. But that was in a return home spot, which is a tough spot to be in, although now they have to go back out on the road again. But they might be a little bit more focused in a spot like this than Phoenix maybe. And again, this is more about line value in this game. Line's already dropped from 7.5 to 6.5, with Phoenix being the home favorite. I just think Phoenix is being a little bit overvalued in the market right now because their record looks a little bit better than they actually are. So those are the breakdowns there. Let's go to NBA. I'm going to recommend a play, as I did already mention on this. Oklahoma City, lay the points is what I'm going to say here. They are already up from 9 to 9.5 with juice, though. It looks like it's headed further. I saw some 9s out there this morning, but now you might have to get 9.5. Not much of a difference between 9, 9.5. It might get up to 10, but I'm going to recommend laying the points with the Thunder. Again, I will reiterate that I'm not actually betting these games, trying to conserve some money here, but I like the Thunder in this game quite a bit. Pacers have 57% of tickets, 62% of the cash as it stands right now, but I think they are kind of a public underdog here because I think the public, they just look at a number like this and they think it's a little bit too high, and they like teams that score a lot like the Pacers, although both of these teams score a lot. It's kind of like the Thunder have just kind of been cruising a little bit, and I think that the public, in a way, they're not really going to give the Thunder that much credit for beating Minnesota, but Minnesota is actually a lot better than you think. And it looked like maybe Anthony Edwards was kind of playing injured towards the end of that and whatever. That was an impressive series win for the Thunder. So I think the public is less impressed because Minnesota was a 6 seed in the playoffs. But Minnesota was actually maybe the second best team in the West, man. They're a really, really good defensive team. And that's another reason why I like the Thunder, I think, to win this series pretty easily. I think they're going to win this series in probably 5 games. The Thunder are a huge step up in class defensively for the Pacers. Pacers are coming off playing an injured Cleveland team. They played a pretty injured Bucks team in the first round, an injured Cleveland team that was never healthy, and then a Knicks team where Thibodeau, who got fired probably for this reason, just runs all the starters into the ground. Knicks have a thin roster, so the Pacers have faced 3 teams that have thin rosters and injury issues, and none of those teams play defense that well. The Knicks are known for just like allowing a lot of wide open shots, especially from 3, even though the Pacers don't really take a ton of threes, but they're going to be stepping way up in class here to face the Thunder, who are actually the top defensive team in the league. So this is the best defense the Pacers are going to see by far throughout the entire playoffs, and the healthiest team they're going to run into, and the deepest team roster-wise they're going to run it into. So I think this is a bad matchup for the Pacers here for all those reasons. Not only that, but the Thunder actually like to play fast too. So the Thunder, not only are they good defensively, they play fast, which is kind of a weird combination, but usually when you see combinations like that, like St. John's in college basketball, their offense is a problem, and you want to look to fade those teams once it gets into like the tournament. Not the same thing in the NBA with a team like the Thunder, because the Thunder can still score a lot too, even though they don't take a lot of threes. So they're actually scoring with a lot of high percentage shots. The Thunder are just balanced all around. They have very few weaknesses. So I think this is a bad matchup for the Pacers, because the Pacers, another reason why they got by the Knicks, I think, was because the Pacers like to push the pace. Very appropriate name, as I've mentioned. Pacers like to play fast. Thunder are not going to care about that. The Thunder also play fast, so that will just play right into the hands of the Thunder. Thunder way, way better defensively than those teams. And as I was saying, I think the public's actually going to give the Pacers more credit for beating the Knicks, because, oh my God, the Knicks beat the Celtics. You know, the Pacers beat the Cavs, so they're going to get more credit for that, right? Like the Thunder won't get that much credit for barely getting by Denver and for beating a 6 seed in Minnesota. People are going to give way more credit to the Pacers. Oh, the Pacers beat the Cavs, and then they beat the Knicks, who beat the Celtics. So they beat the 1 seed and the 3 seed, who beat the 2 seed in the East, right? So that looks way better. No, it's not better, man, because the East was way weaker than the West was. The West is a real like cluster of a bunch of good teams near the top. Like the top 7 or 8 teams are all actually really good. I guess I would say 7, even though Golden State kind of had to deal with injuries in the playoffs, but those teams are all good. The West is way more stacked than the East, and the Pacers did not have to beat the Boston Celtics, who were the best team in the East this year. So I think the public is overrating the Pacers now because of all that. And again, the Knicks, they don't play very good defense, so the Pacers are having to step way up in class defensively, and the Knicks wanted to slow the pace down, even though the Knicks were kind of just okay with letting the Pacers dictate the pace for whatever reason. That's not going to be a situation in this series either, again, as the Thunder like to play fast. I don't like to repeat myself like this, but I think it's a bad matchup. Now, let's look at what the Thunder have done on their home floor in the playoffs. They're 8-1 on their home floor in the playoffs, and they've won those games by an average of like 28 points. Even though, sure, they had a couple of games where they won by a ton. They won by 51, and they had another game where they won by 43. But still, how many of these home games have they not won by double digits? Let's count them, because it's not that many. Let me see. I can't even find one yet. Let me see. One of the ones against Denver, I think, might have been. Yeah, so they won by 7 against Denver, so that's one. They did lose at home to Denver, but so they're 8-1 at home. So they had 2 games at home where they didn't cover this. And then against Memphis, they covered both times. So in their 9 home games, they've won 7 of them by double digits, and they've won 8 of them straight up. So Oklahoma City's been really good at home, and they've won by, huge margin, like I said. And the other thing we can look at is we can look at the historical results in the NBA Finals. The last 20 home favorites in Game 1. I think the home team is almost always favored, though, in Game 1 of the Finals. So it might just be the last 20 years in general. 18 of those teams have won the game straight up, and 17 of them have covered the spread. So in the last 20 years in the finals, specifically, the home favorite, or at least the last 20 home favorites, they're 17-3 against the spread. And 2 of the 3 that didn't cover the spread lost the game outright. And I don't expect OKC to lose the game outright. So those are some heavy indicators here. We got some trends, some angles that are all pointing at OKC. I think the matchup points nicely to them as well. And then we do have the one maybe issue is the rust scenario, where you have OKC having about a week off and Indiana having about 4 days off. So I talk about like rest versus rust, but I think because both teams have had a decent long layoff here, I don't think it's that bad for Oklahoma City. As I have talked about, the rust factor comes into play a little bit, potentially, if a team has been off for too long while another team is just playing through. I actually kind of like to lean towards that team that's actually playing well, at least in the first part of the game, because the team that has had that long layoff can come in a little bit cold and have to get used to it again. But for OKC, I think that's a little bit less concerning because they've been so good at home. They don't take a lot of threes, so the three-point shot isn't going to be as affected by it. I think they're going to be ready to go, to be honest. Both teams had the long layoff here. And that's about it. And OKC, they can turn it on in like a moment's notice. So even if they don't play well in the first quarter of the game or whatever, once they get warmed up and ready for the game, I think they'll be off and running, and they should be able to, even if they're not covering this. Even at halftime, I think they're still in a decent position. As long as the game's close at halftime, I think they're still in a decent position to do it, which is what they did in Game 1 in the previous series. All of a sudden, they're down 4 at halftime, then all of a sudden they're up double digits in a split second. So Oklahoma City is very dangerous and has the ability to do that as well. So lay the points with OKC, 9.5, whatever it is. That's my recommendation in that game. Let's go to baseball. We have a somewhat shorter card, although it's not that short today. I'm actually going to recommend a play on the first game up. This is going to be the only side I have. I have 2 first 5-inning totals, 1 full game total, and 1 side with a split run line, money line play, and that's going to be the Atlanta Braves. I'm going to recommend having half the bet on the -1.5 run line at +130. So for that part of it, they have to win by 2 runs, and the other half of it on the money line at -154. If you want to just do straight up the money line, I think that's okay as well. The money is coming in on Atlanta, though, and this is rising fast. And I don't think this is a false move because it looks like it's continuing to do this, and we only have 2 hours to go here. They're up from -130 to -160, 77% of tickets, 83% of the cash coming in on Atlanta. And I'm going to agree with this one, even though I think both these teams actually are better than their records indicate. Arizona, the one reason they might be motivated here is they're looking to avoid a sweep here, but I just don't think that's enough given what this matchup looks like here. I like Atlanta in this game. Arizona, yes, they're coming off multiple losses here. They're looking to avoid a sweep, Atlanta's looking to avoid a sweep. What am I saying? So that makes it even better for Atlanta. Wait, why did I think Atlanta had won both games? Never mind. I liked Arizona in the first game, and they won that game. And Arizona won yesterday, too, so never mind. Atlanta is looking to avoid the sweep, so that's even better, actually. So my mistake. I apologize. So Arizona is actually on the verge of a road sweep. So I think Atlanta is going to come extra motivated here. I apologize. My mistake. That plus, I think the matchup looks really bad for Arizona here. And Arizona's bullpen has not been doing well this year, man. They're one of the lesser bullpens in the entire league. So I think Atlanta, even though they used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, they have a better bullpen. And Arizona did have to use 2 of their later relief men yesterday. So I think that at least kind of balances out with Arizona not having a couple of their best relievers available here. But Arizona's bullpen has been overall worse. So I like the situation for Atlanta to get this game. They're going to be motivated to win the game. So we're playing full game on this for that reason, but also because I think Atlanta, even though they used extra relievers yesterday, I still think their bullpen is the better bullpen. So I think at least, or at worst, that's kind of a wash. Looking at the starting pitching matchup, Brandon Pfaadt has really not been good recently. 5.05 ERA in the entire season, 1.32 whip. That's not good. His home road splits are not good either, as he has a 5.91 road ERA compared to 4.15 at home. So he's actually been worse on the road. That's where he is here. His last game, he didn't record an out, and he allowed 8 earned runs on 6 hits and no walks. So I guess he must have hit 2 batters, or I guess maybe I don't know, was there an error and then the runs were still earned? I don't know what happened there, but it was his worst outing of his career. So you could look at that 2 ways, right? Like in one respect, yeah, he's not going to do that bad again, okay? Yeah, he's going to be in an embarrassed, angry mood. He's going to come out. He's going to pitch better this time. Sure, he's not going to do as bad as that. But on the other hand, he's in really, really bad form right now. If you look at that, in 2 starts ago, he had no strikeouts. I mean, it's just not, and he gave up 3 home runs, 5 home runs over 3 starts there before that most recent start. It's not looking that good for Pfaadt right now, man. An 8.1 ERA in May, 20-9 strikeout walk ratio. Those are not good numbers either. And against Atlanta, he has not been good. In 56 at-bats, 304 average allowed, an 828 OPS, so not good. Ozuna is 4 for 8 with a home run off him. So if you're looking for player props, that's a recommendation there. Go hits plus runs plus RBIs. Over the total there, Verdugo's 3 for 5 with a double. Riley 3 for 8 with a couple doubles, so take your pick there. But Pfaadt has not been good, so the splits line up against him. Atlanta, I think, is going to be the more motivated team here. I like the pitching better on the Atlanta side completely. Arizona has the better hitting, but that's about it. And it's not by that much, I don't think, especially with Atlanta having Acuna back. Grant Holmes is pitching for Atlanta. He's having a decent season, 3.78 ERA, 1.17 whip. I'd say he's in pretty decent form right now. He did have a 38-10 strikeout walk ratio and 3.22 ERA in the month of May. Last outing, he had 9 strikeouts. Over the last 2 outings, he had a 15-2 strikeout walk ratio, going at least 5 2/3 in those. He's got at least 5 1/3 in every start since the beginning of May. So he's been good. And his splits are also very, very heavy for the home side of it. He has a 2.7 home ERA compared to 5.55 on the road. So Holmes has been better at home. Holmes, the homeboy, has been way better at home. So I like all that. And he does have decent numbers against Arizona, too, in 29 at-bats. 3.3 strikeout walk ratios isn't that good, although 2 of the walks are from Perdomo. So I don't take that much away from that. It is a small sample size. He's held him to 207 average, which is quite good, but a somewhat high 798 OPS. But the reason for that is he's allowed 3 home runs, but all of them are from Suarez. So if it's really just one guy in the lineup doing all the damage here, you can kind of pitch around that one guy a little bit. The rest of their lineup really has not done much against Holmes. So I like Atlanta for all those reasons. So that is play number 1. Find a way to play the Atlanta Braves there. Kansas City and St. Louis have a doubleheader. Game 1 is actually going to be the same pitching matchup that was going to happen yesterday, which got rained out. So I did break that down yesterday. So I'll just try to do it quickly here because basically what I said yesterday still applies here, except the bullpens are more rested now. So an under looks more tempting in this first game now. Total sitting at 7.5, so oddsmakers telling you it's expected to be a low-scoring game. Noah Cameron pitching for the Royals. He's a rookie, and he's off to a good start to his career. 1.05 ERA, 0.82 whip. He's been really good. He's allowed 1 or 0 runs in every outing. Too many walks, but that's because he walked 5 guys in the first game. And since then, in the month of May, 13-3 strikeout walk ratio with a 1.4 ERA. I mean, he's been good basically in every outing. But the one thing you have to worry about a little bit is that perhaps one of the advantages that he's had so far is that he's facing offenses that haven't seen him before. So hitters facing a good young pitcher that they haven't seen before tend to struggle a little bit and have to adjust and figure the guy out a little bit. So the issue with all of that is that St. Louis actually already saw him once, because this is that this is the natural interleague rivalry here between St. Louis and Kansas City. So St. Louis actually faced Cameron already, and he did well in the game. He only allowed 1 earned run in 6 1/3, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks. Nice outing, but he might do a little bit worse this time out just because St. Louis has seen him before. So little bit of a concern there. So that's one thing. I just have to dial it back a little bit, although I still lean to the under here. Mikolas is pitching for St. Louis, and he's mediocre, 3.9 ERA, 1.25 whip. He has been decent over the last month with a 3.08 ERA in May. 17-7 strikeout walk ratio, a little bit of a concern. 7 walks, although he only walked 1 guy over the last 2 outings, but he only went 4 innings in his last outing. So maybe he's kind of slipping out of form a little bit here. Mikolas has been decent, though, and against Kansas City, he has decent numbers. 89 at-bats, 20-4 strikeout walk ratio, 258 average, 743 OPS is a little bit high, but that's because India has 3 home runs off him and 8 for 25, so some player props there potentially. Mikolas has been a little bit better at home, but his home road splits are not anything remarkable in any way. But I agree with the under in this one, especially now with the bullpens rested. I would lean to the under in that game. That one is not going to be a play for me, however. I'm not going to recommend a play on it, but the money looks like it is agreeing with the under. 50% of the tickets, 64% of the cash on the under. Total down from 8.5 to 8 juice the over. So you might be able to get a better number than the 7.5, as people don't really know who Cameron is yet, and Mikolas doesn't get that much respect either. So that's the way I would look to play that game. Detroit and the White Sox. We got Casey Mize pitching for Detroit here. His numbers are good on the season, 2.82 ERA, 1.14 whip, but his career numbers, I think, are telling you that he's going to start regressing, and I think he has a little bit. He's gone 5 innings and 3 1/3 innings in his last 2 outings. That's not great. Starting to walk some guys, 3 walks over the last 2 outings. So he is starting to regress a little bit. He's allowed a few home runs recently. That's not great. Walk numbers have increased, like I said. So he's kind of coming out of form a little bit here. He does have good numbers against the White Sox, though. I mean, decent numbers in 33 at-bats. A lot of their hitters haven't even seen him before. He has a 273 average allowed to them and 649 OPS. So he's facing a weak offense, so he may actually do okay in this game, but I don't love Mize. And then Burke is on the other side for the White Sox. Hasn't been that great. 4.2 ERA, 1.42 whip. That whip is way too high. He's been a little bit better in his last 2 outings with a 12-4 strikeout walk ratio, going 6 innings in each against Texas and Baltimore, allowing 1 run and 2 runs in those outings. So take from all that what you will. Those aren't bad outings, but they're against offenses that aren't that great. So he is starting to pitch a little bit better, but still, he's a guy who's walking too many guys, putting too many guys on base. But in his history, Detroit has 15 at-bats against him. He's held to a 133 average and 435 OPS. So Burke has actually pitched well against them. So I could see an under actually making sense in this game just because the White Sox offense is so bad. And Burke might actually pitch okay. Total at 8.5 with some juice on the under. 62% of tickets are on the over, but 59% of cash on the under. You do have to worry about bullpens, though. And Chicago's bullpen's not good. Detroit's bullpen is pretty good, but they do use a lot of their bullpen typically. Detroit, both teams use a lot of their bullpens yesterday, so I would probably look to maybe first 5 innings under if you think the starting pitching is going to do okay here, but I don't really trust Mize either. And I don't think there's really any way you can lay a minus 200 something price on Detroit or even lay like a road price, run line or anything like that. I think Detroit is just overpriced here in this game, and they are public, 89% of tickets, only 83% of the cash. So those are my thoughts there. Philadelphia and Toronto. Luzardo is pitching here for Philadelphia, and he's got to be in a bounce-back spot. He's had a great season overall, but now he has a 3.58 ERA and 1.34 whip, and those just skyrocketed after his last outing because he gave up 12 earned runs in 3 1/3 against Milwaukee. And I gave out a first 5 inning under in that game on the show. Very inexplicable. I don't know how that happened, but he's been so good over the course of the season. Besides that, not allowing more than 3 earned runs in any other outing besides that. He had a 20-4 strikeout walk ratio in the previous 2 starts prior to that. So I think Luzardo, I think that's more of a blip than anything else. I think that was just an extreme outlier. Shooting his ERA up from 2.15 to 3.58. Absolutely insane that one start can do that much damage to you. I think Luzardo's going to bounce back. I think he's going to do better. He's actually been better on the road with a 2.29 road ERA compared to 4.89 at home, basically because that one bad game was at home, so that is affecting it quite a bit. But he's been good overall, man. Against Toronto, they've barely even seen him before. They're 3 for 13 off him. Springer does have a home run, but they have 4 strikeouts, no walks. He's held him to a 231 average, 692 OPS. And besides Springer and Straw, nobody else has even seen him before. So I think Luzardo does have an upper hand in this matchup here. So I do like him to bounce back here. Chris Bassett is pitching for Toronto. He's been pretty good at home, I think, right? Yeah, he has a 2.73 home ERA compared to 4.86 on the road. So he's been good at home. He's pitching decently right now as well. Or actually, excuse me, he isn't. I thought he was pitching better than he is. His strikeout walk rate isn't that bad still, 30-8 over the last month, but he had a 5.06 ERA over the last month because he gave up 10 runs combined over the last 2 outings against Tampa Bay on the road, which they're not a good hitting team, so I don't know, even though that's a weird spring training ballpark. And then against the A's at home, I don't know how he didn't do well against them. So Bassett actually is starting to slide a little bit, even though he has been better at home. His numbers against the Phillies, in 131 at-bats, they have a lot of experience against him. He's done okay, 267 average, 765 OPS. Schwarber, 7 for 16 with 2 home runs off him. So if you're looking for player props, Castellanos, 10 for 31 with 4 doubles, a home run. So take from all that what you will. But I would lean to Philadelphia slightly in this game. Would probably be the way I would look here. I just think Luzardo's the better of the 2 pitchers. I think that's more of a blip than him being in bad form. But again, it looks like they're public and the money's kind of coming in against them. They're down from minus 122 to minus 113, 78% of the tickets and cash. So I don't love that. So Luzardo is better on the road. Bassett's better at home. If you think Bassett might bounce back as well, and under maybe worth thinking about, 68% of tickets on the over, only 55% of the cash on the over. But the thing you have to be concerned about is Philly's bullpen isn't that good, and they did use their bullpen quite a bit yesterday, so I would probably look first 5 innings in this game, maybe Philadelphia first 5, or like on the money line, or an under in the first 5, something like that, but I don't really have a strong sense of that game. Minnesota and the A's. David Festa is listed as a starter here, but I actually think it's going to be Bailey Ober based on what we have in the on the pregame board here, which I think is more accurate usually. Let me see. We can look at both, like in case it's either of them. Let me see. Where's Ober? I guess it's not going to be Ober. Never mind. Oh, it is going to be Festa. Never mind. It did say Ober earlier. Never mind. So it will be Festa in this game from Minnesota. Now, the A's are trying to avoid a sweep, but the A's have been awful, man. They're terrible at home. They've lost countless games in a row at this point. I don't even know how many games they've lost in a row at this point. They basically just can't win. But because that's the case, you're laying probably too much of a price with Minnesota here. David Festa is going to get the start for Minnesota. 1.38 ERA this year is obviously good, but a 1.31 whip, not that great. He has not pitched on the road yet. He hasn't gone 5 innings in any of his appearances yet this year, and hasn't pitched since April in the majors. So that might be a little bit of a concern. And the fact that he's having his first road start and his start back in the major leagues is in this A's stadium, which is very hitter friendly, might not be that friendly to him. Might not be the best situation for him, really. So I think we got to stay off the game because I don't know what we're going to see out of Festa at all here. He did give up 2 runs in his most recent outing against the White Sox, but he was scoreless in his other 2 outings. He was decent, but he was walking maybe too many guys with 3 walks in that last outing. So, again, I don't know what we're going to get out of Festa here at all. And I think the A's probably haven't seen him before, would be my guess. Yeah, Festa, he was new to the league last year, so he hasn't been seen before either. He is one of those guys the Twins are kind of expecting to be fairly good in the majors. Hasn't happened yet but we'll have to see. You can look at what he did last year because it's a bigger sample size. He had 13 starts, 14 appearances, 4.9 ERA, 1.32 whip. I mean, not great numbers, not terrible. I mean, for a guy who was a rookie, he actually had a high strikeout rate, so he wasn't that bad, really. So we'll see what he's able to do here. And he's up against Mitch Spence, who has not been great for the A's. 4.38 ERA, 1.33 whip, and he's been making short appearances, basically coming out of the bullpen. So I think he might be an opener here today. I don't know how many innings they're going to give him because he has been in the starting rotation throughout the last couple of years. So I don't know if they're going to give him more innings than this or not. But I would say at most he's probably going to get about 3 innings in this game. We will see, but he's not going to go that long in the game. And he has not been good against the Twins in 21 career at-bats. They have a 381 average and 981 OPS off him, and that's with no home runs against him. So that's not good. So the starting pitching matchup still doesn't look very good for Oakland, or for the A's, excuse me, but Minnesota's way too public, and they're laying a big price up from -175 to -180. They do have 72% of tickets and only 53% of the cash, though. So the market read looks like some of the money is actually grabbing Oakland, probably just thinking, well, this price is just too big. And it looks like kind of a toss-up type of game here. The total's gotten some movement upward from 10 to 10.5. 88% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the over. And over might make sense. I mean, it's a high total for a reason in this hitter-friendly park. If you think both pitchers are going to struggle here, and over obviously might be a way to look in this game. And, of course, if Spence doesn't go long in this game and the bullpen has to come in for Oakland, that's not good for Oakland either, as their bullpen has been horrendous. So we'll see what happens in that game. Next game up, I'm going to give out a first 5-inning under in Baltimore-Seattle. Under 4 in the first 5 innings. Again, MGM in Massachusetts seems to lag behind and have some bad numbers out there. So if you're taking advantage of those, they might actually limit you, which is bad, obviously. I mean, books should obviously not do that, or they're trying to not lose money. But again, if they're allowing professionals to bet into them, that kind of helps them a little bit because it helps give them information. So you think that the trade-off would still be worth it, where, yeah, these pros are going to win some money off of us, but we're still going to, we're still going to be a profitable business, and this will help us get more information out of it and maybe help us be more profitable by setting better lines, so it is the trade-off there. Anyway, I like the first 5-inning under in this game because, first of all, I want to take the bullpens out of this, even though Seattle, they have a good bullpen. Baltimore's bullpen, not as great, I wouldn't say, but both bullpens got fairly used yesterday. So I want to take the bullpens out. Baltimore used a bunch of their better relievers yesterday too, so we'll ignore the bullpens here. And we're going to look at just the starting pitching. Zach Eflin pitching for Baltimore. 4.46 ERA so far. He hasn't had that many starts yet this year, but a 1.09 whip. He's probably Baltimore's best starter, or at least maybe besides Sugano. I mean, Eflin has been pretty good, man. In the month of May, 16-5 strikeout walk ratio. Better indicator than his 5.64 ERA, because really his ERA just skyrocketed because he had one really bad outing against Washington, and that was because he somehow gave up 4 home runs in that game. I don't know what happened in that game. He was too hittable, but that hasn't been a problem really in his other outings. He didn't walk anybody in that game, so his command has been fine over the course of the season so far. It's just that one game he allowed too many home runs. Then he allowed 3 home runs at Fenway Park after that. But after that, he settled down nicely with a nice bounce-back 7-inning shutout with a 6.1 strikeout walk ratio. Yes, against the White Sox, they suck. But I think it's just good, to beat any major league team like that and bounce back and settle back down, have a good outing. I think that's good for Eflin. So I think he's going to be good here. And Eflin has been better on the road this year with a 5.4 home ERA, mostly because of that really bad outing that I just mentioned. But even including the outing at Fenway that wasn't that good, he has a 3.68 road ERA. So that's good. And he's going to be pitching in a very pitcher-friendly park here in Seattle. So I like all that. And against Seattle, over his career, 37 at-bats, he's allowed a 216 average to them, an 8-2 strikeout walk ratio, and a 554 OPS. So Seattle's offensive numbers are very weak in their history against Eflin. So I think he's trending back in the right direction. The splits look good for him, home versus road, and he has good matchup numbers against Seattle. And then on the other side, we have Brian Wu, who is excellent for the Seattle Mariners. 2.82 ERA, 0.95 whip on the season. He's been really good at home with a 1.73 ERA, and that's after it went up with a bad home start last time out. It was below 1 prior to that. He's got a 3.45 road ERA, so he is better at home in a pitcher-friendly park as well. And even in his bad outing the last time out against the Twins, he still only allowed 3 earned runs in that game. The only outing this entire year he's allowed more than 4 earned runs in any game was at the A's, very hitter-friendly stadium, and he still had a 6.1 strikeout walk ratio in that game, went 6 innings. He's been excellent, man. In the month of May, he had a 33-2 strikeout walk ratio, 2.58 ERA. He just has command, doesn't walk guys. And Baltimore has basically never seen him before, except Adams is 0 for 2 off him with a strikeout. And other than that, none of Baltimore's hitters have even seen Wu before somehow. So Wu not only is a really, really good pitcher with a couple of years experience under his belt now, he's better at home as well, and Baltimore hasn't even seen him before, so that might help with Wu, even though there is, footage game tape of him out there now, so that will help Baltimore a little bit, but it's not like seeing him in an actual game environment, so these hitters might take a little while to adjust to him as well. So I like the under in the first 5 innings, man, and even though the full game total is pretty low in this one, where are we looking at here? Let's find it. It is at 7.5, flipped from having over juice to under juice. 66%. That doesn't sound good. 66% of tickets, only 51% of the cash on the over. So it looks like the market read is on the under. Money coming in on the full game under. But instead of that, we're going first 5. And again, I found an under 4 at a really good price. If you have to go under 3.5. You could do that. Obviously, the 4 is better. I mean, any extra run that you can get is worth a decent amount with these first 5 inning totals because, of course, it could be a tie at the end of the first 5 because they don't need to break the tie yet, obviously. So that's the way I'm looking. Of course, if you go full game under, I don't hate it, but I do worry about the bullpens. And you do have to get under 7.5. If you do that, I would say pay up to about -120 to get that because 7 is a key number in baseball because you have to break the 3-3 tie. So either way you do that, again, you can find some book. If you have access to multiple books, you can probably find the under 4 at a decent price. I would probably play that at up to about -120 or even -125 because every run is worth a decent amount early in the game. But I think the starting pitching matchup is a very under-conducive matchup. San Diego and San Francisco. San Diego took the first 2 games of the series. San Francisco bounced back and won yesterday. Both bullpens have gotten a lot of use here in this series so far. And San Francisco used a lot of theirs yesterday, and they used some of their better relievers yesterday as well. So San Francisco's bullpen, even though they are really, really good, both of these bullpens are pretty good. But they've seen some use in the series. This does look like an under type of game, though, with Dylan Cease against Robbie Ray. Dylan Cease, 4.66 ERA, 1.29 whip. I know his numbers are not that great this year. His road numbers don't look that good, but it's still all kind of being skewed by a really bad outing at the A's stadium, which is very hitter-conducive, although he hasn't been going deep into games, even though since then he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any outing. He's had a couple of outings where he didn't go deep. He didn't even make it 5 innings last outing. He was really inefficient with his pitches, even though he didn't even walk many people. He only walked 1 guy. So his strikeout walk rate is still there with a 42 to 9, strikeout walk ratio in May. Well below 1 hit allowed per inning, well over 1 strikeout per inning, 3.71 ERA. So he is pitching well. It's just he's got to knock those numbers down a little bit more, but his numbers look worse than he actually is. We know how good he is based on last year. And he has good numbers against San Francisco in the past. His 60 at-bats, 24 to 8 strikeout walk ratio, 200 average, allowed him 577 OPS. So he has good numbers against San Francisco. San Francisco's got Robbie Ray pitching, and he's continuing to defy expectation, having somehow a really good season from almost out of nowhere at the age of 33. Maybe San Francisco's pitching coaches are just really, really good, man. I don't know. 2.43 ERA, 1.11 whip. And he really has not shown signs of regression with a 1.38 ERA in May with a 45 to 11 strikeout walk ratio. It's a few too many walks. The walks are a little bit of a concern, but he's allowed well below 1 hit per inning, not even close. Hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any outing, and that was once against Arizona, and he allowed 1 or 0 in the other 5 starts in May, he's pitching really well, and his numbers against San Diego are actually good as well, in 55 career at-bats, except for the walks. He has 14 walks to 13 strikeouts. That is a little bit concerning, although 6 of the walks are Machado, so maybe he was pitching around him. I don't know, 3 are Tatis, 3 are Bogarts, so maybe he pitches around these better guys. Overall, 200 batting average, but he has a lot of 744 OPS, which is a little bit high, but Machado does have 2 home runs off him. Bogarts has 1, so it's like the main men, the best hitters do hit him okay, but he does walk them quite a bit as well. Take from all that what you will. I still think it is an under type of matchup, but because of the bullpen usage, even though the bullpens are good, but the bullpen usage in the series has been a little bit much, so I would probably be looking first 5 innings under in that game and just go with the starting pitching matchup. I don't quite love it just because Ray, there are some question marks there with Ray. I actually like Cease a little bit better. We do have 61% of tickets, 69% of the cash on the over. So some cash percentages on the over, but we do see the line having moved down from 7.5 to 7.5. Pretty heavily juiced to the under, which I think might be the actual move there to the under. I'm not entirely sure about that. And the Giants, by the way, they are an under machine. They had played to, I don't know, something like maybe 9 or 10 straight unders. I pointed this out yesterday, and they had one game that went over, and they had a stretch prior to that with several more games that went under. Up until yesterday's game finally was an over game, even though neither team scored more than 6. San Francisco has played so many low-scoring games because San Francisco's offense has actually been pretty bad. So I actually probably would lean to the San Diego side in that game slightly as well, and that is where the money's coming. San Francisco down from minus 120 to minus 115, 75% of the tickets on them, but 55% of the cash coming in on San Diego. I think Cease is better than his ERA looks, and I think Ray, there is still some room for regression there. I actually think Cease is the better pitcher over Ray, and San Diego has the more rested bullpen right now and the better offense, so I do lean to San Diego in that game as well. But not going to be a play for me. But I think the ERAs are a little bit misleading there in that starting pitching matchup. San Diego first 5 inning would also make sense, but I think if you go San Diego side, I think full game is fine because San Francisco's bullpen is a little bit more used right now, and the hitting is better on the San Diego side. Mets and Dodgers. I'd probably lean to the Dodgers in this one, man. I mean, this series has been back and forth. Mets won, then the Dodgers won, then the Mets won. So this is going to be game 4 to finish the series. Mets winning the series currently 2-1. David Peterson is on the mound for the Mets, and he continues to defy the experts' expectations with a 2.69 ERA, despite having a pretty high 1.26 whip. The whip is not very good. 29-14 strikeout walk ratio in the month of May. Again, not good. That's way too many walks. And he keeps getting away with it. And I pointed out, I think it's because he's an extreme ground ball pitcher. So guys are just hitting it to double plays against him. I think that's how he's able to somehow sustain an ERA that's this low. I still expect some regression from him, though, because that whip is just still too high. And at some point, some of these ground balls are going to get through the infield and whatever. 2.3 ERA in the month of May obviously was good. But he has been a little bit worse on the road. Or no, excuse me. I thought he was worse on the road, but he isn't. Never mind. His numbers are actually pretty much the same home versus road. Against the Dodgers, that's what I was thinking of. His numbers are not good, though. In 118 at-bats, the Dodgers have done well against him. With a 356 average, 7 home runs pretty much spread out across their lineup. Freeman does have 2 of them, but he's 6 for 24. Not that great. I mean, you can look at the Dodgers hitters. A lot of these guys hit well against them. Rojas, 7 for 16 with a home run. Page is 5 for 7 with a home run. Ohtani, 5 for 14. So take your pick. Enrique Hernandez, 5 for 11. All those guys have good numbers. 356 average overall allowed to the Dodgers, 999 OPS, and a lot of those Dodgers hit him well. So Peterson, specifically against the Dodgers, has not done well. Landon Knack pitching for the Dodgers has not been a great pitcher, really. 4.58 ERA, 1.36 whip. Not great numbers. He did walk 3 guys in his last outing, but he's gone 2 6-inning outings in a row with a, an 11-3 strikeout walk ratio. So that's not really that bad. He posted a 3.71 ERA in the month of May. 27-7 strikeout walk ratio. That's not too bad. And those last outings were against the Mets and the Yankees, so pretty good offenses. Now, the one drawback here is that he did just face the Mets. So the Mets are more used to seeing him right now because they just saw him. But the same does go for Peterson, as he just faced the Dodgers, and he actually did pretty well. Both pitchers did actually pretty well when they faced these opposing offenses. So there is some room for regression for both pitchers here, because both offenses just saw these guys, and the offenses didn't win out that last time out. So I think an over makes sense in this game, and I lean to the Dodgers as well, because Knack, as not great as he has been, and I know he hasn't been good at home either, which gives me some hesitation there, which is why I'm not going to make this a play. 5.4 ERA at home compared to 3.52 on the road. That's not good, but he has been good against the Mets in his career. 29 at-bats, 207 average allowed, 637 OPS. So the matchup numbers are actually in favor of Knack as far as facing these specific hitters. So I like the over in the game probably more than anything else, but I think a Dodgers side is also the way that I would lean in that game, even though the money is disagreeing with me. The money's agreeing with me on the over. It looks like it's disagreeing with me on the side, as the line's down from minus 135 to minus 125 on the Dodgers. 57% of tickets and 75% of the cash coming in on the Mets. The Mets do have the cash percentage. As far as the over, the total's high at 9.5, and it's high for a reason, man. The books are expecting not great pitching, despite Peterson's good-looking ERA. 76% of the tickets and 95% of the cash are on the over. So I do agree with the over. I think that's probably the strongest play in this game is the over. And both bullpens have actually kind of struggled a little bit more recently than what their talent level actually is. So that kind of helps towards the over as well. And if these pitchers get knocked out early, the bullpens are going to have to be used more as well, which I said that for that Yankees game yesterday, and that didn't happen. Yankees-Indians game yesterday. But if it does happen here, I mean, that could help out with the over, obviously. Probably should have happened yesterday in that game that I played the over and should have helped out, but whatever. So I disagree with the market read on the side in that game, and I agree with the total. I like the over and slightly into the Dodgers. Houston at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was able to get a win yesterday. So these teams have flip-flopped 3-0 results, as Skeens lost his game 3-0 in the first game. Yesterday, it was a 3-0 win for Pittsburgh with Burrows pitching well. Pittsburgh's young arm there in the rotation, putting a good performance out there yesterday from Burrows. So he might be a guy to start looking at, where maybe we'll get a little bit of value on him as he's in good form now. He did face a weaker Houston lineup, though. So, I mean, it was a weaker lineup than the other lineups he faced. I pointed that out yesterday. I think I was kind of leaning towards an under in the game yesterday. I forget. I think it's what I said on the show yesterday. Or no, actually, I don't think I did, because Gusto was pitching and I didn't like him at all. So Pittsburgh got the win. Today, Houston does have a better pitcher on the mound. Framber Valdez, 3.12 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's coming off a complete game, 9 strikeout, 1-run performance against Tampa Bay, and he only threw 83 pitches, so he didn't even overextend himself in that game. So I don't think he's going to be in bad shape coming in here. He's in good form. 42-11 strikeout walk ratio in May. I mean, too many walks, but high strikeout rate. Didn't allow a lot of hits. 2.36 ERA. He's pitching well. He's been a little bit worse on the road, or maybe more than a little bit worse, with a 2.2 home ERA, but a 4.14 on the road. So he has been worse on the road, but he is facing a very weak Pittsburgh lineup here, and in 60 career at-bats, they only have a 200 average against him at 528 OPS. So Valdez in good form right now and pitching against a weak lineup that he tends to dominate. So I think Valdez should be pretty good in this game. Mitch Keller is pitching for Pittsburgh. He's been a little bit worse at home than on the road. 4.15 ERA at home, 3.19 on the road. So I like the under in this game, but my hesitations would be the splits, that Valdez is just not quite as good on the road and Keller not quite as good at home. But I like the under. I know both games have gone way under in this series, but neither offense is very good, and both pitchers have been pitching decently as of late and have good matchups, so I do like the under here. Mitch Keller had a 30-8 strikeout walk ratio in the month of May, 3.5 ERA. That's all good. The one maybe cause for some concern is that he only had 1 strikeout in the last outing, which isn't that great, but overall not bad. I mean, 3.73 ERA, 1.26 whip on the season's a little bit high, but against Houston in 37 at-bats, he has 216 average against and a 500 OPS, so good numbers. Both starting pitchers have good numbers there, so I like the under. I probably prefer first 5 innings under in that game, though, because there was a little bit of bullpen usage yesterday. I don't trust Pittsburgh's bullpen very much, although neither offense is that good, so if you go full game under, it kind of still makes sense because you're kind of banking on the offenses to suck here. The money is coming in on the Pittsburgh side, and I think it's agreeing with the under as well. Houston down from minus 153 to minus 142, which is kind of indicating that Keller might duel Valdez here, as it looks like the pros think there is some value on Pittsburgh and an underdog price here. 83% of tickets and only 79% of the cash on Houston. 58% of tickets and 55% of the cash on the over. So the money looks like it's coming in the under. I do agree. I hesitate a little bit just because the splits are a little bit iffy in that one. I would go first 5 inning under. Although if you do that, you probably have to go under 3.5. Maybe you could find a 4 out there in the first 5 innings. Probably is the way I would play it. But under 7.5 full game is also a way of playing it. That one almost makes my card. That's probably the next. That's my next favorite. That's the one that is my favorite that has not made my card today. Next up is going to be a total that is on the card. I'm going to give it out as a play, and that's an over in the Cubs and Washington. So, I mean, the way this kind of starts is that even though the bullpens weren't heavily used yesterday, the bullpens are just not that good on either side here. So we could start there. Both bullpens could give up some runs in this game, so that's where we start. But then we also take a look and we see Drew Pomeranz is starting for the Cubs, and yeah, he has a 0 ERA and a .51 whip, but he's only going to give them an opener, man. He did this once, and yeah, they didn't allow any runs in the entire game in that game with a good bullpen game for Chicago at home, but I don't expect that to happen again. Pomeranz, yeah, he's been good. He hasn't even allowed a run yet in 13 2/3 innings and a bunch of appearances, which is kind of insane. So he has been good, but he's probably only going to go 1 inning in this game, and they're going to give him 1 inning to open the game, and then they're going to bring in a follower, and then they're going to be using their bullpen the rest of the game. And I just don't think that's a great situation for Chicago, especially on the road against a Nationals team. It's actually kind of an underrated offense right now. And Pomeranz, I mean, his numbers are a little bit iffy against Washington. I mean, only 4 of their guys have seen him before. They are 1 for 4, the double off him, and a walk, 2 strikeouts. Not a whole lot you can take away from that, really. 250 average, 900 OPS. So take from that what you will, but he's probably going to be out of the game by the 2nd inning, and then you're going to be dealing with a Cubs bullpen that isn't really that good. Jake Irvin is pitching for Washington. He has good numbers on the season, 3.93 ERA, 1.17 whip. I don't know if he's exactly in great form right now. After he had a really nice outing against San Francisco, he had a bad outing against Arizona. Granted, it was at Arizona's Chase Field, which is not a good stadium to pitch in. But there are causes for concern here, as he didn't have any strikeouts in the game. Did give up 10 hits, 6 runs, but again, it's a hitter-friendly stadium, but he didn't even allow any home runs in the game. In the month of May, he had a 14-9 strikeout walk ratio, which really isn't good. He had 2 outings with no strikeouts and 1 with 1 strikeout. So there is cause for concern there that strikeout walk ratio is not what you want to see out of a guy who's pitching well. It's a lot worse than what he posted in the previous month. In April, he had a 31-9 strikeout walk ratio, and his ERA was actually higher that month, 4.06, and in the month of May, it was 3.82, which is kind of ridiculous because he actually pitched worse in May based on a strikeout walk ratio. I think he's not in good form right now, and his numbers against the Cubs are not great in 40 at-bats, 8-5 strikeout walk ratio, 325 average allowed, 875 OPS, including a home run and a 3-for-5 clip from Michael Busch. So Irvin, good numbers for the most part overall, but I think he's been shaky recently, and his numbers against the Cubs are not good, so I'm going over. It seems like, because you look and you see these pitchers' numbers, one guy has a 0 ERA, the other guy's ERA is in the 3s. Doesn't look like you'd want to play an over here, but I think it's very misleading. I like the over. I think the money's agreeing with it, as it's flipped from 9.5 juice to the under to 9.5 juice to the over now. 79% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. The total is high for a reason. Books are not just throwing in a 9.5 out there for no reason. I've found it out there at minus 105, so a nice reduced juice price. If you get it anywhere upwards of like minus 110, minus 115, you could do it, although obviously we're not getting the better of the 9 here. If you could get over 9 and pay a little bit more for that, that would be a better way. I'll have to look and see what the books are offering, but over 9, even if you have to pay up to like minus 120, might still be worth that, because 9, again, is a key number in baseball because you have to break the 4-4 tie in this case. Cleveland is at the Yankees. I I probably kind of like the under in this one. Both bullpens are okay, even though they have seen a little bit of usage here. But the starting pitching, I like the starting pitching matchup. Even though Slade Ciccone for Cleveland, his numbers don't look good on the season. 5.28 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. That's not good, but that's because he had one really bad outing against Anaheim. Kind of inexplicable. He'll have 3 home runs. So his problem has been the long ball, and that's really the concern here. If you do like the under in this game in any capacity, he's got to worry about keeping the ball in the yard. Overall, he has a 17-5 strikeout walk ratio, which is good. He may bounce back because those first 2 outings are both pretty good. His good outings are actually both on the road, so he does have a 3.27 road ERA compared to 10.38 at home. Again, it's a very small sample size, but his 2 road outings were good versus a bad home outing, and the Yankees really have not seen that much of him. They're only 1 for 5 off him lifetime. Judge does have a home run, but other than that, not a whole lot going on. No walks, 1 strikeout for the Yankees. 200 average, a 1,000 OPS because there's 1 home run there. But basically, the Yankees are pretty unfamiliar with Ciccone, and he's a young guy with good strikeout stuff, so I think he may be able to do something in this game. And, of course, Max Fried, pitching for the Yankees with a 1.92 ERA, 0.97 WHIP on the season. He's been really good, obviously. Coming off a tough outing against the Dodgers where he gave up 6 runs, but that's obviously a tough matchup on the road against a really good offense. I think he will bounce back in this game. He's been really, really good otherwise. Has a 1.69 ERA at home compared to 2.15 on the road, somewhat just because of that one bad outing against the Dodgers. Up against Cleveland, they've actually barely even seen him. Only Ramirez and Santana have ever even seen Fried before because he's been in the National League the whole time. So, and those 2 guys are only 1 for 11 off him with 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 0.91 average, 322 OPS. So Fried probably has the upper hand here, but I kind of like both starters, so I do like the under. It's too much of a price to lay on the Yankees. You're always paying too much, really, to play the Yankees. They're always public. They're up from minus 230 to minus 265. I just don't think you could really do that. 92% of tickets, 97% of the cash. The under looks like it is getting some money in on the 8.5 juice. The under looks like it's headed towards 8. 78% of tickets are on the over because the public is only going to play overs in Yankee games, even though some of their games are fairly low scoring. Yesterday should have been higher scoring than it was, but this looks like an under matchup to me. 77% of the cash coming in on the under. So I like the under in that one. The cash does agree with it. Either full game or first 5 inning. I mean, there wasn't a lot of bullpen usage yesterday, and both teams do have okay bullpens. Even though I said yesterday I still kind of liked the over. I thought there was potential for the bullpens to give up some runs there, but I had that a bit wrong. I thought the starting pitching was really going to set the tone yesterday, and it didn't happen. In this game, if the starting pitching sets the tone, it looks like an under to me. You just do have to worry about the long ball, especially with Ciccone out there in a fairly home run friendly stadium. So we'll see what happens. Texas at Tampa Bay. I mean, these are teams not very good offenses, so you kind of immediately have to default to liking an under in these Texas-Tampa Bay games, even though I know yesterday went over. Neither team scored more than 5 runs. Bullpen usage was fairly strong yesterday from both sides, so the bullpens had to get involved yesterday. Kumar Rocker was pitching. He just can't get it done, man. Rocker against Boz yesterday, not the best pitching matchup. This is a much better pitching matchup for an under, in my opinion, but because the bullpens got used, even though both bullpens are good, I think a first 5 under makes sense in this game. That would probably be the way I would look in this game. Jack Leiter is pitching for Texas. Numbers are decent overall. 3.66 ERA, 1.2 WHIP. He does still walk way too many guys, though. In May, 4.32 ERA and 23-8 strikeout walk ratio in May. That does concern me, even though last 4 outings, he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of them. He's got at least 5 innings in all of them. He's got to get the walk numbers down, so that is the one concern that we would have there with Leiter. But Tampa Bay basically hasn't even seen him before. It's only Theus has ever seen him before, and he's 0 for 1 off him, but with 2 walks, so not a whole lot you can take away from that. But basically, Tampa is completely unfamiliar with Leiter, so Leiter might have a little bit of an extra advantage there because Tampa's offense isn't that good to begin with, and they have not seen him before pretty much, so they might struggle to figure him out early. Ryan Pepio pitching for the Rays. He seems to get a lot of heat, but he's not that bad. 3.21 ERA, 1.16 WHIP. Those are good numbers. Been in good form, man, recently. A 22-8 strikeout walk ratio in May. I know it's not a high strikeout rate, but he doesn't really walk a lot of guys, doesn't allow a lot of hits. 2.25 ERA that month. 2 straight shutout performances, going at least 6 2/3 in both against Houston and Toronto, which is kind of impressive because he faced both of those teams in the 2 outings prior to that. He faced Toronto, Houston, and he actually improved and did better the second time out against them, which is kind of insane. With those offenses having just seen him, he actually did better. So that's a sign that he's pitching pretty well right now. Giving up 3 or fewer earned runs in every start, going all the way back to a start on April 15th against Boston. If you exclude that one, that's the only start where he gave up more than 3 earned runs in any outing this year. So he has pitched well. Numbers against Texas aren't that great, though, which is why I have another reason why I have a little bit of hesitation here. Young is 2 for 3 with a home run off him. Josh Young, or Jung, I don't know. 7 for 24 is what Texas is off him. He's allowed 3 walks and 3 strikeouts, so that's not good. 292 average, 810 OPS. So Texas, even though their offense is weak, they've done okay against Pepio. So that's a little bit of a cause for concern there as far as if you like the under. That and Leiter having walk issues. And the total is actually up from 8 to 9. A slight move upward. But we do see 69% of tickets and 94% of the cash on the under. I still lean under in that game. Maybe first 5 inning under, but the total is high for a reason. And part of it is I think because Steinbrenner Stadium here is fairly hitter friendly. So that's another concern. If you do like the under there, I would probably make it a first 5 inning under, just go with the starting pitching matchup, but Pepio's matchup numbers aren't that good, so possibly Texas is a way to look in this game. And you do see the money is coming in on Texas. Tampa down from minus 155 to minus 142, with 53% of tickets on Tampa, but 77% of the cash coming in on Texas. So the money is coming in on the Texas side in this game, and I don't really disagree with that. I think Texas has a little bit of a matchup edge with Leiter having never been seen before by Tampa, and that is where the money is coming in. So fading a little bit of a public sentiment on Tampa there as they're a home favorite. So the professional money seems to think there is value as the underdog there. And then in the final game, game 2 of the Kansas City-St. Louis doubleheader, I'm going to give out a play here on the under. Again, it's an under 4 in the first 5 innings, remember. This is another first 5 inning play. I told you I was going to give out a couple of first 5s. This is, again, you can find it under 4 at Mass MGM, of course, at straight up minus 110. Again, a good number given that the total in this game is pretty low. It's 7.5, and I think it's low for a reason. Actually, it looks like it's at 8. Juice to the over, so it's gone down from 8.5. Or no, wait, I'm looking at the Cameron game. What am I saying? No, never mind. It's flipped from 7.5 juice to the over to 7.5 juice to the under. So there's pretty strong indicators on the under in this game. 80% of the tickets on the under, but 99% of the cash on the under. So if you do like the under, you really kind of got to get a jump on this. Grab the under in this game. And now I could see this going 2 different ways here. So depending on what the best number that you get is, you also have to look at what happens in game 1, okay? So game 1 of the doubleheader here, if there's not a lot of bullpen usage in game 1, you could go under full game in this one. But if there is a lot of bullpen usage in game 1, you don't want to have to deal with the bullpens that have just been used in that first game. So you want to take the bullpens out of the equation, which is why I'm recommending right now, at least, because you don't even know what the bullpen usage is going to be, but you know what the starting starting pitching matchup is going to be. So that's the predictable part of this matchup. So you know what that's going to be. So that being the known factor here, I think it makes sense to just say, yes, I like the starting pitching matchup in this game for an under. Take the under. You might have to go under 3.5, but I said I would go under 4, upwards of like minus 120, even minus 125 here, just to get an under 4, because that 3.5 is always just a little bit dicey in those early innings. But I do like this one. I like the starting pitching matchup in this game for an under. The money is seemingly agreeing with it. And for the full game, you got to try to get it under 7.5. See what happens with that number if you are going full game on this. Under 7, still probably okay, but yeah, that's the way I would look. But I like the starting pitching matchup here, even though I know we have Cole Reagans who's returning from the DL, and I know, Toad, what are you doing, man, with the guy returning from the DL? You don't know what to expect. Yeah, that's true. They could be shaky, but again, Reagans, he's a guy that has years of experience now. So I think he's going to be fine. He's been one of Kansas City's best pitchers. He was their ace until recently. He just kind of started pitching un-ace-like, but I expect him to be back, man. I think he was dealing with like a groin injury, which might have been part of the reason why he wasn't pitching as well. So I think if he's ready to go, he's going to be better when he comes back here, because I think his last couple of starts might have been a little bit misleading if he was dealing with an injury. 4.53 ERA in the season doesn't look good. 1.2 whip, but basically it was just those last two outings, or actually 4 out of the last 5 are bad. He gave up at least 4 runs in 4 out of the last 5. He sort of returned to form a little bit, though, because he went 5 innings in every start in May, and he had a 26-4 strikeout walk ratio. So that indicates that he was actually dealing. Like, he had command. It was just, he gave up some untimely hits, basically. He didn't even allow that many hits. He allowed 1 per inning, which isn't that bad. No home runs allowed. I think he just got a little bit unlucky, really, to be honest, in those last few starts. And in the 2 bad starts that he had prior to that, he did allow home runs in each of them. But his command was actually really good in May. So his 4.8 ERA in May was actually pretty misleading. So I like Ragans here. And he's actually been better on the road than at home this year. So it might be better for him to just get back out there on the road, focus on baseball. 4.97 home ERA, but 3.78 on the road. So Ragans has been better on the road. So I like that. And then if we look at his batter versus pitcher stats here against the Cardinals, pretty good in 8 at-bats, 11-4 strikeout walk ratio. He's held him to 258 average and a slightly high 730 OPS, but still that's not that bad. I mean, Contreras is 3 for 5 off him with 2 doubles, and other than that, not a whole lot going on there. So he's pretty much stifled the Cardinals' offense, and he's a good pitcher, man. He's better than his numbers make it look right now. I like Ragans. And I like Liberatore for St. Louis with a 3.08 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's been St. Louis's best pitcher this year, probably. And he stumbled a little bit in his last outing against a bad Texas lineup, I know. But I think his outing kind of got a little bit disturbed, I guess. It was a little bit shaky, partially because the defense behind him wasn't good. So he allowed an unearned run in that outing, which I think kind of kept him out there longer than he wanted to be out there. It kept him from getting out of whatever inning that was. So there was an unearned run in the game. He did allow a home run, but he still had a 5-1 strikeout walk ratio in 5 innings. So he wasn't even really that bad in that game. In May, he had a 2.97 ERA and 28-7 strikeout walk ratio. Not a really high strikeout rate, but still a pretty good strikeout walk ratio. Didn't allow a ton of hits there. He's been good over the course of the season. That was pretty indicative of what he's done over the course of the entire season, which is he's been pretty good. And against Kansas City, he's also been good in 35 at-bats. Does have an 8-4 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't that great. Has allowed a 3 for 5 clip and 1 home run to Perez. But other than that, 229 average, allowed in 639 OPS. So I do think we have 2 good starting pitchers. I would basically say we have the best starting pitcher for each team on the hill here. And I think they're guys that are actually kind of being overlooked in the market. So I like the under in that one. That's the way that I'm going to go in that one. Under first 5 for me in that one, because you don't even have to worry about what happens in game 1 as far as the bullpen usage. Just go with the known, the starting pitching. If the bullpens really, really don't get used in game 1, maybe you could look, because, of course, these teams didn't play yesterday. So if the bullpens have really light usage in the first game, you could look to the second game being an under for the full game. But I like the starting pitching matchups. So that's where we're going here. That's going to do it for me, man. So my plays that I've given out, Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals, minus the points. Lay it. One side in Major League Baseball is the Braves. And I'm giving it out as a split play, half and half on the run line and the money line there. First 5 innings under in Orioles and Seattle. Oh, this is not working for me. What's going on? StreamYard's fucking up for me there. Hopefully there weren't any glitches there. So that was a side on Atlanta, split bet on the run line, money line, half each. Baltimore, Seattle under in the first 5 innings. Best number you can get there. Get the best number you can get, I should say. Cubs and Washington over the total, even though it's a high total. And game 2 of St. Louis, Kansas City, first 5 innings under. That's going to do it. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter. GiveSendGo.com/TowerGangToad is still up. I thought I was going to close it, but because I'm still doing some shows, I'm going to leave it up for a little bit more. There has been some money still trickling in there. I'm going to be on the Stu Peters show. We're recording in about an hour, and I don't know when it's actually going to air, but I'll be on there for about a 20 to 30-minute interview there. So that's going to happen at some point. They actually want to talk to me about Turning Point USA having OnlyFans slots being in their speaking lineup, but I think we are going to talk about my ukulele firing as well. So be on the lookout for that. Tower Gang, of course, we had a new episode last night. Go check that out. Grab the patreon.com/Tower Gang, and you get the bonus content, as we always do kind of an extended version of the show where we cut the mainstream and we go for like about a half hour longer after that. We did again yesterday, and yesterday you really wanted, because we did find the rest of my Biggest Loser entry in the first round on Legion of Skanks. So we did watch some more of that in the paywalled part of the show yesterday. So go check that out for Tower Gang. Get your Bohemian Grove tickets, even though we've been canceled. I think it is still happening at a different venue. So go check that out. It's still going to be somewhere in Central Florida in late June. So go do that. And that's going to do it. Tower Gang Toad, Better Off Dead, Tower Gang. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.